Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Classics with Courtney, and today is going to be a special treat on the 1957 version of The Miracle Worker. I have been waiting to see this for a long time. I finally managed to find it on a whole other site. Thank you to whoever found it, and now I just want to talk about it. And I will try to base this only as what the film is, and not as anything more than what it is, because it is a TV production. So get ready for my reaction slash kind of review, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Playhouse 90. Tonight starring Teresa Wright, Burl Ives, John Barrymore Jr., Hakim Tamarov, Catherine Bard, and Patty McCormick as Helen Keller.
The casting is pretty good so far.
She'll live.
Doctor, don't spare us.
As the constitution of a goat. You run an editorial in that paper of yours, Captain Keller. Wonders of modern medicine. We may not always know what we're curing, but we cure it. We call it acute congestion of the stomach and brain.
Well, I'll see you to your buggy.
Now, you just let her get well. She knows how to do that better than you do. Don't poke the providence. That's the rule I make.
Well, that's one thing that they added that not many versions add. That's very interesting. The fact that we can see from Helen's perspective of how she can see and hear, and then it all goes dark into a buzzing and then just complete, black and everything. I think that's actually a very interesting choice here. Considering that Patty McCormick was very famous for playing Rhoda Penmark from The Bad Seed, a very terrible character, I think it's interesting that she chose to play this role, and I actually think she does a very good job. She's not as good as Patty Duke, of course, but she is way better than Melissa Gilbert. Another good casting choice, in my opinion, was definitely Burl Ives. I mean, we all know him from playing the lovable snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and singing that classy song. I know him also from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which he's very interesting in that movie as well. But I think here he dials that character back just a tad, like at least from the 1962 version. Captain Keller, as much as I like that portrayal, he does come across as a bit boisterous and over the top. I think Burl Ives carries it more gentle. He still comes across a bit hard sometimes, but he still comes across more gentle. I do think that his choice of acting here did very, very well, and I think he's just a very likable person.
Dear Mr. Nagnos, oh, what am I to say? I'm an ignorant, opinionated girl, and everything I am I owe to you.
Another one of my favorite casting choices, Teresa Wright. I mean, my gosh, any movie I've seen her in, she always plays a really sweet, lovable character. I especially favor her roles in The Little Foxes and Shadow of a Doubt, with her also big film The Best Years of Our Lives. She just always comes across as so darn likable, and I think she's the perfect choice to play Annie Sullivan here.
Well, now, you spell pretty well. You finding out if she's ticklish? She is. Oh, what is that there, a game?
Alphabet.
Alphabet?
For the deaf. Oh, how bright she is.
You think she knows what she's doing? Why, she imitates everything. She's a monkey. She wants a doll back.
When she spells it.
Spells it? She doesn't know a thing has a name either.
Of course she doesn't. I want her fingers to learn the movements, that's all.
Won't mean a thing to her.
So, when it comes to John Barrymore Jr. in this role, I think he's probably the weakest out of the cast. Yes, he has the Barrymore name, but his acting, for some reason, just doesn't do it for me. He laughs at parts where I don't think he should be laughing. Some of the lines he comes and says is not well said. It's just, I don't know. There's something about him I'm not a huge fan of.
Nothing. Nothing, Father, except that he beat us.
He did not.
Was it your contention that we won the war, sir?
Well, he did not beat us at Vicksburg. We lost Vicksburg because Pemberton gave
I think we lost Vicksburg.
Now what's the matter?
You see, Miss Annie, she's accustomed to helping herself from our plate.
I'm not accustomed to it.
Okay, this is well handled, well acted. The breakfast scene is one of the most famous parts of the story, at least from every adaptation that we've seen. This one definitely does a decent job here. They also made the interesting choice of not slapping each other. This is the only version I've seen where Helen just pinches the teacher and she slaps her hand. Every adaptation after this, they always slap each other in the face. Even the Disney version, I think in the late 90s, did this as well, but she more or less tapped her in the cheek. So this was an interesting choice to not show any slapping. I wonder if it was because it was on television. I always love that scene when she spits on her face and the Annie Sullivan has to throw water in her face.
She ate from her own plate. She ate with a spoon, and she folded her napkin.
Folded a napkin.
The room's a wreck, but her napkin is folded.
Another great delivery by Teresa. I've always loved that line. Here's another thing added into the story that no other adaptation really tackles. And the fact that we see how hard she works for the breakfast scene with Helen and then goes off alone when it's done and breaks down, that is something I can honestly relate to. I've had breakdowns in my life whenever I've gotten upset, but I've also worked as a daycare teacher for 2 years, and believe me, it's not easy. And I had many breakdowns during that time of my life. So it was really interesting to see Annie Sullivan just collapse on the bed and then just break down, because that's very relatable. So I'm glad they added that scene in, and Teresa nails it.
2 weeks. Well,
That is one part of this version I'm not too crazy about. I don't know if it's because it's TV acting or not, but the fact that she says 2 weeks and then and then the camera just backs off. Like, I don't know, like in the 1962 film, she does say 2 weeks and then she goes, what have I gotten myself into? So I would have preferred something like that for this version. I thought that portion of the editing and acting and just, I don't know, something doesn't feel right for me in that particular regard. Probably another nitpick on my part, I'm not sure, but one of the other things, I'm not too crazy about this, is the semi-relationship between Helen and Annie. What I mean by that is I understand Helen is not used to this discipline. She's very shut off from her, specifically from Annie, and Annie is still trying to reach her. But if you look, again, I just got to compare this just a smidge. But if you look at the 1962 version with the chicken scene, and she's got that little chickie in her hand and everything, it's a very tender scene. And Annie says the chick has to come out of its egg sometime. You come out too, and gives her a little, kiss on the cheek. And she goes, huh. and that's all she does. But in this version, it's like she pulls back violently and then goes like this. To me, I don't know, the relationship here isn't as tender as I would like it to be, I guess. It's a little bit more mean-spirited. Like, there's portions where, you know, if Annie's trying to do something or Helen's trying to do something, it's like there's just so much still like that hostility there. Whereas like in other versions, there's some compromise there, and there's even a little bit of love and tenderness. Like again, going back to the 1962 version, there's a moment where Annie's trying to walk Helen outside and she goes like this. She doesn't want to be touched. But we also see that with her mother. She wants to be independent. So I get that, like, okay, she's not trying to be mean. She wants to be out on her own. But I don't know. This version, I don't think they really nailed the tenderness of the relationship. I don't know. I mean, let me know if I'm nitpicking. That's just how I feel about it. The 2 weeks are up, and they all end up going back home. But Annie, of course, still feels like she hasn't fully reached Helen, which we clearly seen she hadn't. So the poor thing is very sad, and just she doesn't know what to do at this point. Of course, things don't go well here in the dinner scene, and Helen has to go refill her pitcher after pouring water or throwing water into Miss Annie's face.
Water. W-A-T-E-R. Water. W-A-T-E-R. Water. Whoa. Whoa. Yes. 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 Oh,
Now this scene is very well handled. This is definitely the best scene out of the whole movie. Whether it's this version or any other version, this is the highlight of the film. Another great addition. We usually don't see Helen cry when she realizes the world around her for the first time, really. I mean, since becoming deaf and blind. So the fact that she collapses in her father's arms and cries is just really sweet and very powerful. On the whole, the movie is a really good movie. I definitely think it has been worth the wait. I think it is definitely a sweet movie, and I plan on watching it as many times as I'm in a mood for. One little trivia I want to point out from Patty Duke herself, from her book, Call Me Anna, she said that she hated the part where she had to kiss Annie at the end because on Broadway, they do that all at the well, which happens both in the 79 version, and then the one from Disney. So this version and the 62 version both have the kiss for Annie and then the I Love Helen at the end on the porch. So I think that's probably what happened when the director decided he wanted to reuse this for the film, which was something that Patty Duke never liked, which to me that's an interesting bit of trivia. Anyways, that pretty much concludes my reaction / review of the 1957 TV broadcast of The Miracle Worker. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this type of video. What did you think of this version of The Miracle Worker? Which is your favorite Miracle Worker? And let me know in the comments below. Bye! Have a great, wonderful day.